All right, so we started this convo off before we went online about the housing market and how you sold some people some homes and then you resold them and watched all the money that they made. And you mentioned that, you got your fee, but they made more.
Yeah.
A lot more, right? That seems to be an issue that we see often in the agent world, where they know real estate well. They get to watch transactions or be a part of transactions, and they get to watch how much money people make. But it seems like they have a hard time crossing over into ownership of those assets as well. Do you see that also?
I see it all the time, and it is shocking to me. And I was one of those people that did that because I never thought of myself as a real estate investor.
Right.
I was the real estate agent, and I always thought about myself like that. And then when I started buying them, I was like, oh, I love this. This is so fun. I'm going to buy them and fix them up and sell them. And I wish I had kept every single thing that I fixed up and sold. I mean, I'd be sitting on the beach in Tahiti. I would. I mean, I go back, I look at one house. I paid $130 for it. I kept it 30 days. I sold it for $175. $45,000 in 30 days. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that house is now worth close to $500,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I want to start with here. So there's two things to talk about right there. Number one, why do agents have such a hard time moving over? Is it the identity part that they're telling themselves they're an agent, not an investor? Or do they start making money, start spending it, and they're not left with any money to invest? What do you think the reason is?
Well, yeah, because agents, they spend their money when they get the listing, when it goes under contract, and when they sell it. They don't pay their taxes. So traditionally, they're not really good with money because they're artists, not operators. And they don't think about themselves as investors or operators, or they don't think about themselves. Think about how many agents have picked up the phone and called you and said, hey, Mikey, I've got a great deal I want to show you, and sold you the house. Instead of, if it was such a great deal, why aren't they buying it?
Right.
And that's the thing is like, but for me, what's really important is I don't want the seller to ever think that I stole the house from them. So what I do is I'm more than willing to put it on the market and show them the open market and what the house will bring. And then whatever is the highest bid, if I think that I'm better than that, I'll buy it.
I like that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
That is. I was gonna actually move this to you because Michael's wife sells real estate. And Michael is a real estate investor.
Okay.
And so what I was gonna ask you is, did Jess already understand the position to be in because of your guys' relationship, or did she have to wrestle with that as well?
No, she still wrestled with it because she is an artist.
Yeah.
She's a creative.
Yeah, she's a creative, and the thought of just making the money up front was very attractive.
Yeah.
And it was, arguably short-sighted because it is. And you have a hard time seeing what will come 5 or 10 years from now as opposed to the lump sum of money you'll make today.
Right.
And that trade-off, a lot of people can't do. And even she struggled with it, regardless of my influence. But she always had the opinion of, I can't buy a house from somebody who asked me to list their house for them. It's unethical. And so your approach actually is brilliant because how many agents just accept that as it is as opposed to saying, hey, look, I'll list the house, whatever you get, then we'll talk.
Exactly.
That I think is unbelievable, and I hope a lot of agents take that away.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Steal that. Like,
Well, the
everybody
thing
steal
about it
that.
is that think about it. You don't put yourself in a situation for litigation or liability because you exposed it to the open market. You put it on the MLS.
Yeah.
You left it out there long enough for them to get the highest and best offer. And so for me, that's what I always want my seller to know, that I acted ethically.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, sometimes somebody comes in and pays some godforsaken amount, which is ridiculous, and the numbers don't work. But that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, that's right. As you were saying that, I was curious because you guys together own a lot of real estate. I mean, we're invested in it.
Right.
And so I was actually wondering, for the income that Jess makes, maybe the need to get it invested wasn't there because you guys already own so many assets.
Yeah. But I think it was more when she first came into the business.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the potential of doing one deal could yield, 6 figures, 5 figures, depending on the deal itself. That's very hard to walk away from. And instead say, well, no, actually, let me put money into this thing.
Yeah.
And let me maybe do a little bit of work. And then eventually some money will come back out of it and let the appreciation do its thing. again, it's a very hard trade-off to make when you're looking at 5 figures up front.
Yeah, that's really good.
But you brought up an interesting thing that I wanted to ask you too, is that how often do we hear from people, I wish I never sold.
That's everyone.
I wish I never sold.
Totally.
I regret selling. I wish I bought this one and I didn't buy it. And yet there are just as many people, because you and I talk to them all the time when we're talking about our real estate deals, that are highly focused on the exit.
Yeah.
And they're not seeing it. So why do you think that is?
I think that people see the short-term money.
Yeah.
They see what they're going to make today, and they're like, what if the market goes down and I'm not going to make that much next year? And what people don't realize, as long as you never put yourself in a position to have to sell, you'll always make money in real estate. And as soon as you sell it, you're never making another dollar on that house. And I think that I wish people understood the seller always loses because they stop making money on that house as soon as they sell it.
That is a bar. Glennda, holy cow. That's absolutely right. So
You don't say that in a listing appointment, though, do you?
You know, I mean, people buy and sell real estate 365 days a year.
right.
And they do it because of death, diamonds, debt, divorce, and sometimes distance or downsizing. So for me, people have different motivations to buy and sell real estate. I'm here to help them with whatever is the best case for them.
Do you think more people regret selling versus not buying, or the other way around? Because I can tell you, like, for my family, the biggest regret has been not buying. My family, we grew up in Sherman Oaks. I don't know if you know where the Sherman Oaks area is, but it's, you know, part of the valley that is actually relatively affluent today. And there was a townhouse development in 1992
Right.
that came up, and it was a big development, and they were selling each one for 25 grand. And my mom begged my dad. She's like, let's buy 10 of them. Like, they were in a financial position to be able to buy 10 of them. She said, let's buy 10 of them. He's like, no way. We're not buying it. This makes no sense. It's going to go downhill. Those are worth about 750 grand minimum each today.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think we all look back and go, why didn't I do this? At least for me, I've had to try to take that one off the board for myself because, you know, I'm thinking of properties right now. There were properties that not we should have bought. There were properties that we went after that we didn't get.
Right.
And, you know, for a time I would like drive by the property and go, oh, I wish I had that. And I've kind of had to let that go because it's not in my control.
Right.
The property's gone. And so I don't want to spend any bandwidth on it. But then I look back at, like, you know, this was 2012. I heard about Bitcoin for the first time, right? And the guy telling me is, you know, he's telling me all about Bitcoin. Now he's invested. And I'm looking at him going, are you kidding me? This is like black market. You're going to lose all your money. This is the sketchiest thing I've ever heard. And he's telling me about it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a pass. Bitcoin was like, what was it in 2012? Like $1
$3
a coin, right? Yeah, wish I did that. You know, but I think, like, in that example, I wish I would have spent more time doing some education on what it meant. And then if I was making the decision and the decision didn't line up, I'm not beating myself up for it, right? Like, I look back at some of the opportunity I missed, and I'm not sure I would have went after it because the questions I was asking to get to my yes didn't align. Fine. But
I would take it a step further, too, and say that people that live in the regret of not buying something make the wrong decision when an opportunity comes up.
yeah, then they're a yes when they shouldn't be.
Correct.
Right.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Why do you think so many real estate agents have a problem with taxes? So I've heard this one frequently, that they sell, they make money, they don't pay their taxes right, they get hit with the tax bill, and then their first response is, I got to make more money because I got to pay this bill, and then the taxes increase. How do you avoid that?
That happened to me.
It did.
Yeah, I
Okay.
made $137,000 selling one house.
Okay.
I didn't pay my taxes on it. I went out, I bought a new car and a new wardrobe, and when it came time for the taxes to be due, I was like, oh, there's no way I owe that much money. Like, that can't be right, because I had all these expenses because I'm a real estate agent and I bought a car and I put gas in it. And so I had all these expenses. There's no way I could owe that money.
Right.
And the accountant said, yeah, you owe that. Please tell me you have some money left. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't. And so that fancy Rolex that I bought, I had to sell it. Oh, yeah, it was crazy. And I think that you think you're always going to sell another house. So I don't really need to take the money from this one because I'll sell another one and I can pay it all. Or I'm going to sell 2 more, or I don't need that money till April, or maybe I don't need it till October. I'll just pay it later. And the thing about it is you never know when you're going to sell another house. It's eat what you kill.
Yeah.
And on top of that, when I made all that money, I spent the entire summer at the swimming pool. Like I didn't want to work. Like I was like, I mean, it was 1995. I was living large in my pink bikini and getting a tan. I mean, I was like, it was crazy. Right. And I remember thinking, oh, do I really have to pay that like now? It just never even occurred to me.
Okay, so is the correct approach because I do have a lot of real estate agents that follow us.
I love that. Me too.
For them, you have more than me for sure. But I know that I do have a lot because they're always asking me questions about this. Is the correct way to take the percentage that you're going to owe in taxes right away and move it off to the side? Or is the correct way to learn the depreciation game and capture loss to offset your income because you're a real estate pro? What's the correct way to do it?
Take 50% off the top of every single thing that you make and literally put 30% of it in a tax account and 20% of it in a high yield savings account so that when you have the opportunity to buy, you have the money to buy.
Okay. You guys heard it there first. Are you good? Glennda told you the path. Take it.
And it's easy peasy. I mean, really, you think about it. You made $30,000. You sold $1 million home. You made $30,000. You take $15,000 and you just put it in an account that's not your account that you check every day.
Right.
Put it in a different bank the high yield savings place that you don't go to every day. So then that way you're not thinking, oh, I'm rich.
Yeah.
Because real estate agents, they want to live large. They want to have fancy stuff. So.
Yeah, I know.
It's advice every real estate agent should take is what she said. Take that commission, siphon a piece of it off into an account that you don't touch. Move it into not your bank.
Not your bank.
Your brokerage. Go to a Fidelity or a Schwab or a brokerage house where it's harder to get to. Let it sit there in a high rate money market account so it's earning a little bit of interest. Let the tax bill come. And then oftentimes what will end up happening, you will find tax efficiencies that will make your taxable bill less than the money that you saved.
Right.
And then that extra money is now money you can go and invest with.
Yeah.
And you're happy as a pig in a puddle. You're like, oh, my stars and stripes. Yep. I have all this money. And so then you're like, you can go buy a house.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is like, stop buying pocketbooks, like houses over handbags. How much money do people spend on consumable goods, luxury consumable goods that depreciate the moment that you purchase them?
Right.
Because if I go to Louis Vuitton and I buy a pocketbook, if I sell it on the real, I'm getting less money. Right. But if you went and bought a house and you think about, oh, well, Glennda, you can't buy a house. Maybe not out here in California, for God's sake. But in Atlanta, Georgia, if you bought a $300,000 house, you only need $9,000, for God's sake, to buy it.
Yeah.
So, and that's like 2 pocketbooks from Louis Vuitton.
Yeah. That's actually a good point because us in California, the first-time home buyer is experiencing something different than the majority of states outside the country or inside the country. And sometimes we're jaded by that.
Yeah.
And people are like, buy a house. Like the starter house is over $1 million. What do you mean buy a house?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of states where that's actually accessible. So my question to you is, for somebody living in California, should that be something they're looking at, is buying assets out of state?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because even if you're living in a rental here and you bought a rental house in Chattanooga, Tennessee, you would be making money. You'd have a pension. You'd have money coming to you every single month because you would be in a positive cash flow no matter where you bought, like especially in the Sun Belt.
Right. That's really good. Okay, so how long have you been selling real estate now?
Sit down. Like almost 34 years.
Okay.
I mean, I started when I was 12, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. So you've now been selling real estate for over 3 decades. I feel like you now have the path that you could set people on to be successful.
Yeah.
Right? What is that roadmap for any real estate agent that's either getting started or is launched, but they're seeing friction? What could they do? What's the blueprint to do this?
So if you want to be a better real estate agent, that's one thing. But if you want to be an investor, buy grandma's house. Like that thing's going to be there when Gabriel blows his horn. I just bought grandma's house and I'm literally going to do every single thing on my Instagram. I'm going to show you. I did the closing on my Instagram. I showed them how much I put down. I got a loan, 6.5%. Like I am getting a mortgage. Like I am fixing it up. I'm going to use a contractor. I'm not over there with my sledgehammer. And I'm going to show you step by step what to do. But if you're a real estate agent, why are you not buying grandma's house? Because that is an easy rental for you.
Yeah.
And you can take like the commission that you would have made and use it towards your down payment or your closing costs and then easily rent that out. But the thing about it is, and people say, oh, Glennda, you should buy multifamily. People should buy multifamily. Well, first off, multifamily is not a plentiful product in Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
But number two, if the roof goes out or the HVAC goes out on a multifamily, that is a ton of money.
Right.
And if you are one person, like that's the thing is if you just have grandma's house, like I can replace the roof for $8,000, not 80.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point.
start small. And I always tell people, buy at least 2 bedrooms, at least 2 baths. If you're 25 years old, 26, 27 years old, you don't need to live in your dream home today. Like, don't be so proud that you won't live in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath ranch, rent out the other bedroom to your friend or somebody, and that will literally pay your mortgage payment. And then stay there for 2 years. It was your primary residence for 2 years. Then go and buy something else.
So you like the house hack model, or a
do.
portion of it.
Always.
Yeah, that's good. That's really
Always.
good.
It's conservative and it's the least exposure to risk for the everyday person. Yeah. And that's who I sell houses. I'm not selling $50 million houses in Beverly Hills. I'm not selling $250 million penthouses. I'm selling regular houses to the everyday Bobby and Susie buyer.
Yeah, that's really good.
How do you reconcile or recommend for people to do it when they're out of Georgia, to have their hands on the project, understand what's going on? Because there is a geographic issue there, right?
Yeah, but you've got to have a great team. You've got to have a great team in place. And as long as you take the time to build the foundation properly and build a team properly, then you can do it rinse and repeat anywhere and everywhere. But if you think that you're going to be able to buy a house in Atlanta and you're going to be able to, pick up this person here or that person there, it doesn't work. You've got to have a real estate agent, I think, to start with, that really has a team of people and has a deep bench in the area where you're buying.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I agree. And the network, right? Like a lot of
Yeah.
people, we deal with this all the time with people. They feel like they can do everything themselves.
Yeah,
No.
that's right.
And that they don't need to build a team, honestly, because they don't want to spend the money to get there.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's, they're being a little bit too greedy up front and they don't realize the cost that is going to come later
Yeah.
down the road.
You're building on quicksand when you do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Penny
the-
wise and pound foolish.
So then your team is your agent, person that's helping you with your debt, property manager.
I wouldn't say a property manager.
Okay.
I would really say a house manager because you want somebody who will go over there and check on that house. When I think about a property manager, I think more about the collection of money from a property. I don't need, it's 2026 for God's sake. I don't need help collecting the money. As long as you rent to people who can pay, then you're not chasing somebody down for rent.
Okay.
What I want is a house manager, somebody who's going to make sure that the condition, that the termites are being treated, that the pests are being treated, that when something needs to be fixed, it gets fixed. And that's a house manager in my head, not a property manager.
That's good.
So like I have a buddy who buys a ton in Chicago. And he found this 20-year-old kid and had him do exactly what she said. And he gives him a piece of every deal.
Oh, that's cool.
And this kid now has all the upside in the world. For him, he owns it. So he's got pride of ownership and he looks at it and pays attention to it in a very different way than somebody that's just getting paid a salary. Now, I'm not saying that paying the salary is wrong per se, but there are ways to do this where you can really get ownership level protection without having to be there.
If you were to give a 20-year-old pride of ownership, how much are you giving them? What percentage?
It just depended on the market
I
and
know,
the
but
size
like-
of the deals, but I don't see doing anything with, I don't see 10%, as high as 10% being bad
Okay.
of the deal. Because especially if you have the intention to wash, rinse, and repeat and do multiple deals, if you have one person in one market who's paying attention to all the properties because he or she has a 10% stake in those deals, you've granted yourself a tremendous amount of protection that you otherwise wouldn't get. Because if you're paying somebody a salary, they get a better job elsewhere, they're gone. Now you have to start that whole process over again. And that transition is painful. Having to jump on a flight from LA to Atlanta every single time you have to turn over a house manager is not a pleasant experience.
Yeah, that's good.
Give somebody ownership, you get them bought in.
Yeah. Okay, you talked about buying Granny's house and putting it all over your Instagram.
Yeah.
How important is marketing for the agent today?
Now more than ever, it is probably the most important thing that you do.
Right.
Because with brokerage consolidation, people aren't looking at your brokerage. They're not working with you because you're with ABC Brokerage. They're working with you, the person.
Right.
And they want to know that you're competent and that you actually have a proof of success. And nothing accelerates credibility faster than proof. And the easiest way to prove that and show case studies is on social media and video.
Okay, so you got to do more than do a photo of the listing.
Oh, my stars and stripes. Yes, you do. Just listed and just sold is literally the death of real estate because you've made yourself look dispensable. You've diminished your value. And so when you put just listed and just sold, I sold it in 4 days, 40,000 over the list price with 4 offers, then why did they need a real estate agent? But what agents miss is the story. They have, a once upon a time and the end. They have no story. They have no case study about how they helped that person go through the estate sale, clean out the house, get the house ready for the market. They don't ever tell those details. And they don't ever let the house tell the story. We just had a house and the seller was passed away. She'd been in the house 60 years. And every single thing that we did to help the seller get that house ready for market, but it was likely a tear down or a complete fixer-up because it was vintage. I mean, it was all original. And I let the house tell the story. I interviewed the kids. I told them, tell me what were your favorite things about growing up in this house. And then I used AI to have an older lady's voice and had her read a letter to the future buyer.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so I let the house tell the story and understanding who is the buyer avatar. Well, you won't understand this because you're not in Atlanta. But so we have a lake in Atlanta, Lake Lanier. Okay, well, if I went fishing for a whale in Lake Lanier, I'm not going to find a whale in Lake Lanier because they're not there. So it doesn't matter what marketing or what bait I have, right? So you need to understand where you fishing for that most likely buyer, number one. But the marketing that real estate agents do is so different now. It's not a sign, it's not a lockbox, it's not just listed, it's not just sold. It is all about the story and your competency.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just going to tell the story. My wife, after we had our last son in September of 2024, she, when he was maybe a month or 2 old, had to go on a listing appointment. And she went with Aaron in the carrier on her stomach. And she filmed it, right? She was doing content. She got a listing appointment from that post because people saw beyond the glitz and glamour and seeing a mom with a baby going to an appointment and document. So I think there's something very valuable to say when you are active on social, showing people beyond what's on the facade and what's real goes a very long way to building trust. And yes, to your point, it's a lot easier to sell a house today than it was a long time ago with respect to agents. There's more agents, you have a lot more choices. The transaction is not what you're looking for. You are looking for, there is a relationship element that plays into the real estate world today, arguably more than ever.
Right.
Yeah, it's all we have left. And when you're on video, when you're telling the story, to be real, relatable, reliable, and relevant, that's the key to get the buy-in from the audience. And so I want people to see that about me, that I am real, that I did pull the rat out of the attic. I'm not just showing up in my fancy clothes to go to the closing.
Right.
So, and I think that people want that now more than ever. There's never been a time, I think, in my lifetime that people are sick of scripted reality. They want the reality of life, and they want to know how it impacts them. And information is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Information is free. People aren't coming to me because I have information. They're coming to me because I know how to use the information to help them more than anything else.
So how many agents are doing it right and how many agents are doing it wrong right now?
So the worst agents are highly overpaid and the best agents are highly undervalued. And the divide between the best and the worst is getting wider and wider and wider. So I think that you're going to see a lot of agents drop out of real estate because they sold one house or two house or four houses last year. And I think that you're going to see the best agents do more deals and get paid more.
Are you seeing any of the youth be better at it? Like the kids that are basically birthed into social media, do they understand it better than the legacy agents?
They understand what to do, but they don't have the chops and the reps to really do it. Like they haven't sold, like they didn't sell 70 houses last year. And so who do you want? You want the pilot that goes from San Diego to LA 6 times a day, or do you want the pilot that goes from LA to Paris once a month? You want the person who does it more and more and more. And I think that the youth is very interesting because, as you know, on social media, you can be anything.
Yeah.
And you can say anything.
Right.
And you can go to my listing and film it and put it on your social media and pretend like it's your listing. So the bullshit meter is definitely getting better from the audience.
Right.
And I think that a lot of, not just youth, I mean, it's everybody. A lot of people say whatever they want to say on social media to make themselves look important and famous, and they're full of shit.
Yeah.
And they're going to go to jail because they're saying stuff that's not true.
Interesting. So you guys deal with that same way we do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is. I mean, you know, people talk about, oh, invest with me. I can guarantee you a 10% return. You can't guarantee anything.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing is like people, real estate agents, they talk about, oh, this house, you can get it for this, you can get it for that. Oh no, it's so awesome, and that has mold all through it. You're putting that out on your social media. You don't think that that's going to be in a court one day? Absolutely.
No, that's a good point. Okay,
Yeah.
so then there's some risk that comes along with what you say on social media. But
Yeah.
you said something actually fascinating, that you think the BS meter, or maybe the audience, is getting so much better at recognizing what's real and what's not.
Right.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing for us.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing to weed out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but with AI, people automatically think that it's fake.
Yeah.
But that's why being real is such a commodity. It is. And now more than ever, because, you know, I want to do some stuff with AI. And I love to like show the vision of grandma's house. I love to show what it could be. And that's a great way to implement AI into my business. But having AI replace me, that's not what people are looking for. The real AI is authentic intelligence.
Yeah, I think that's really good. All right, so what's the deal with this is this lawsuit still going on?
You know, yesterday they're trying to overturn it.
Oh, what happened?
With
Get me caught up, because
Okay.
it is a little bit outside of our wheelhouse. So I know that there's...
So the National Association of Realtors, you know, entered into a settlement in August of 2024 that $417 million would be paid. And so that lawsuit went back to court yesterday to try and be overturned. And this is the thing, is that it was such a false narrative for consumers because, yes, commissions ought to be disclosed. And yes, I believe wholeheartedly that the listing broker commission and the buyer broker commission should be decoupled, and that the buyer broker commission should be discussed at the time of offer, not at the time of listing. I really believe that. I don't think anybody should be forced into paying it. But the way that our system is set up, you did such a disservice to the first-time home buyer because they can't afford to pay their own agent, and their lender won't let it show up on the closing statement. So it's got to be rolled in to the pricing, right? So what you did, oh, we're going to make it easier. We're going to make it better for the first-time home buyer. Well, it's just like the law. The more money you have, the better lawyer you get. And if you are a buyer and you can't pay for your own real estate agent, you're going to get some hack or some has-been who will do it for less and not protect you. And so that's the thing that really concerns me. But I'll be interested to see if they turn it over, but I don't think that they will. I think that it's all just smoke and mirrors. Right now, what I'm more concerned about is Zillow and everything that's going on with them.
Okay, which is?
Which is Yeah, that they are steering the consumer. I think that a lot of people don't understand when you click terms that you agree to the terms of service by signing onto their platform. As a consumer, you don't understand what you're giving up. Not only is it your data, but it's photo dwell time. How long do you spend looking at 123 Banana Street? Okay, well, they like 123 Banana Street, so let's not show them 456 Jones Street. Let's show them 127 Banana Street. So they're really figuring out what to show you and omitting other things. Then they're sending it to a real estate agent that's agreeing to pay them an amount of money. And then they're requiring, and they are requiring it, make no mistake about it. The agent is incentivized if they use Zillow Home Mortgage, if they use Zillow Title Services. That is huge steering of the consumer. Like they should have a choice, all of that. As a real estate agent, I have to disclose to you if I'm going to make money if you use my lender or my title. But because they don't operate as a brokerage, all of the liability really falls on the agent, not on Zillow. And that's the thing that's most concerning to me about what they're doing. And when you're an agent and you work with Zillow, the terms of service that you're in, and they own showing time and dot loop and user-generated content. So user-generated content, so think through this. I can put the contract for 123 Banana Street in Zillow, and I own my user-generated content. But all of the data in there, they have the ability to scrub and create summary data, which they own exclusively. So everything about the contract for 123 Banana Street, they now own it, and they can distribute it any way that they want. If you use Follow Up Boss, all of your conversations are recorded. They own Follow Up Boss, and you've agreed to let them listen to that. I mean, that's in all of your text messages. That is insanity. Could you imagine somebody reading the text messages back and forth between me and you, and I'm telling you what to pay on 123 Banana Street, and then you have the ability to sell that to the listing agent or the insurance company or a lender? Like, it doesn't even make sense to me how that is not criminal.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so from what I just gathered,
Sorry.
Zillow is...
It's a huge in the real estate world right now, what's going on with Zillow.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. So there's an algorithm component to it.
Yeah.
Where they're sending you, based on the data, the thing that they think is going to land the best.
Yeah.
And then they're incentivizing the broker to tap into their system because
Correct.
there's better terms or it's easier. But then they're taking all your data from you and they're able to recreate it. So there's almost like a tech component. And then it sounds like they're taking the Trader Joe's model in some regard, which is test product. And when it sells and they know there's demand, they create their own product, put a different label on it, and replace it.
Exactly.
Right? Interesting.
The retail person, though, that's just randomly looking is going to use one of the platforms. Is there one that is recommended if it's not Zillow nowadays? Or are they all kind of same problems?
They all operate similarly. But my issue with Zillow is that you have a platform that owns lender, title, agent. They also own the Zestimate, which is a predictor of value. So think through this. You own 123 Banana Street. You're the seller, and your Zestimate starts trending down. Is your home now worth less in the eyes of the consumer all day, every day, and twice on Sunday? Right? And so then does that give them the ability to come in and buy 123 Banana Street at a discount because they've trended the Zestimate down? So they're coming up on RICO charges, which I think is absolutely justified because they are manipulating the data.
The market.
And they're manipulating the market, and they're colluding with every facet of the real estate transaction and making money from it. And they're enticing real estate agents to use dot loop, use showing time, use Follow Up Boss, Their data providers, and I even have the slide of the president at the time of Zillow saying, we're going to use agents that use all of our platforms and use all of our services.
Dang. So there's a RICO component potentially, and it sounds
Yeah.
like they're almost on the path towards a monopoly.
Yeah, they have been for a long time. It's just, and it's crazy that nobody is like saying anything. And if you read the terms of service that came out on October 28th of 2025, it says that you as the agent agree to hold Zillow harmless, and that any trouble that they get in based on something that you did, based on me recommending you use Zillow Home Mortgage, that I'm the one with the liability, not them.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what happens next? What's the move here? Do you let this thing play out in the legal space, or do agents start banding together to fight against it? What happens next?
Well, you've got Compass, which has now acquired Anywhere, 350,000 agents, who is in a big lawsuit with Zillow over listing data, because Zillow says, hey, if you don't put your listing on our platform, you don't make it public, then we're going to not put the house on Zillow. Well, this is what I don't understand. I'm the owner of 123 Banana Street. Maybe I don't want my house on Zillow. Maybe I don't want my house advertised to the public. It's my house. I'm making the payments on it. Why can't I do with what I want to?
Right.
Like, why should anybody, the real estate agent, Zillow, anybody have a say in how my home is marketed? I'm going to pick Susie from Sarasota. She's going to market my home the way I want her to market it, period, bottom line. And so what Zillow is doing is they're requiring, and this is what's crazy, is when they were buying houses off market, they were telling you, oh, you're getting fair market value because, and we're buying it. Don't think anything about that. Now they're saying, oh, well, you're not getting fair market value because it wasn't online. Well, pick a lane and stick to it.
Right.
So, but I will be interested to see how it shakes out. But Compass is probably the strongest fighter against Zillow that we have in the real estate community.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
All right, what do you big conversation right now is around affordability and housing prices, and you're starting to see mention of policy changes, right? There's the idea of buying bonds, there's a 50-year mortgage, there's all this stuff coming up. Anything that you're seeing on the policy side that could help with the real estate market?
I think that all of it is just distraction.
Okay.
So
institutional investors buying homes, getting interest rates down, all of it is it's just talk.
The ability to execute on the things that are being discussed are very difficult.
Right.
Period. You know this.
Yeah, I do.
It sounds great. It's a wonderful soundbite, but the ability to implement it bless you.
Thank you. Sorry.
That's okay. The ability to implement it and execute it is almost impossible. So really my biggest concern is that my grandchildren, your children, will they have the ability to buy real estate in the future?
Not in California.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did a video maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I talked about rather than investing in a 529, go buy 123 Banana Street for your kid who's 4 years old, 6 years old. Because number one, are we even going to have college by the time that your kid gets to college? Like, talk about a racket. Like, that's a racket too, for God's sake. And then you have all that debt when you go to school. But think about it. If you went and bought 123 Banana Street, you have it as a rental property, you have it as an investment, and your child doesn't want to go to college. Your child, then has a house to live in, do with what they want. You can get them out of the house. They have a legacy. And so but Glennda, and so Dave Ramsey's daughter takes me on and tells me, I don't even know who this lady is. This is such a stupid idea. Well, let me tell you who I am. I'm a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia that sells his houses to everyday buyers and sellers, not people who have a $15 million house in Nashville, Tennessee. Right. So that is the thing, is if you will buy a house now for your child, they have a legacy. They will have a place to live. They will not be a renter for the rest of their life. And that is what we are creating. We are creating renters for the rest of your life. I was in a neighborhood, a new construction neighborhood, build to rent. These are 3,000 square foot homes in Grayson, Georgia, and they are renting them for $3,300 a month. I'm like, well, if you got $3,300 a month, can't you buy a house? They don't have the down payment because inflation, because butter is damn $6. Like, that's the thing that's really crazy. So I think that you buy a house now for your kid to make sure that they have a house in the future.
Okay, so I'm not mad at that. I love that idea.
I hope so.
That's right. I'm good with that. But does that mean that we are accepting that homeownership will always be off the table in the future? Or are there things that could be done to actually make it so that the next generation gets to participate?
Well, I mean, think about it. Wages have to go way up.
Right.
Interest rates have to come way down. But if interest rates come down, house prices go up. So, I mean, you're in this spiral of crazy right now that we can't break right this second. And you've got to have a lot of things happen to make the world affordable, the housing world affordable for
Do you think
people.
supply is one of them?
I think supply is one of them, but
Like, you have all the control. Glennda Baker has all the control to do what she wants to make sure the next generation can buy a home. What are you doing?
income hasn't risen at the same rate that housing prices have. And to me, that is not sustainable. So I'm not worried about the interest rate.
Okay.
Because think about it. My mom, she was in the real estate industry when interest rates were 18%, but houses were $45,000. People need to have good job security. They need to have fair wages. And I honestly don't think that wages have just kept up with housing prices. And so the housing market, the prices are so falsely augmented. They are. They're insane. I mean, I show piece of houses all the time that are $300,000, and I'm just like, you couldn't even live in this.
So, okay. So, first question is, should wages move at the same exact rate
No.
as homes, or has it just ran out too far?
It's just off the chart. It's off the rails. Like it's too much. No, I don't expect the wages to rise at the same rate as housing prices, but you've got to be moving in the same direction for God's sake.
Right.
And if you're not, and then like, how do you get a job these days? And I mean, think about our youth. Like, they spend all of their time playing video games. They spend so much time not socializing. I mean, think about, like, do they even know how to go on a job interview? Because they don't talk to anybody. They sit behind a screen all the time. So just think that there's so many things that need to change with our youth that would help.
Right.
Going back to your question, though, that you asked, I think what's so smart about what she's saying is that she can't control interest rates. She can't control the economy. She can't control job growth. She can't control foreign and domestic issues. All of these variables are outside of her control. But what she can control as a parent is the ability to purchase an asset that she intends on giving her children, so that whether or not they are in a position down the road that they can acquire their own asset or they're not, she already took care of it today as the single factor that she could control.
Yeah.
And that's what's so powerful about what it is that she's saying, is that she's got no gauge on what the future is going to look like, but she's going to handle the problem in front of her today, knowing that 25 years from now, it might come to fruition. And even in the worst case scenario, in her example, if her kids are in a position where they can afford to buy whatever they want, great. Now they have an income producing asset sitting on the side.
Yeah, no, I love it. To tell you the truth, I would probably be in the same exact position you are and wouldn't really give much of the out of control much thought. And I'm not saying this to say that I'm doing this at a big level, but on the policymaking side here, because I do sit on the policymaking in our city, I just started thinking more about that. Like, what policies do we have the ability to change or influence that might be more beneficial for the next generation? And, I hear you on the income part. Like, I've got kids too. I'm worrying about, what their experience is going to be like. And, on the other side though, if income rises and supply doesn't, are we still in the same boat? Right? Everybody makes more money, which means there's now a larger buyer pool, and supply's not added, not going to solve it. So I think where we're landing is there are so many different factors that need to come into play to actually get this thing back on track.
Well,
right?
and private equity is playing a huge role in housing because that build to rent product, that keeps you on the hamster wheel.
Yeah, so you don't like any of the BTR stuff.
I don't.
Yeah.
I
To
don't.
tell you the truth, I don't like the let me qualify this. I understand the BTR model as the investor.
Yes.
I don't like the BTR model for what it means for single family.
Right.
Because you're not building apartment buildings. You're not building something that is built as a rentable product.
Right.
You're now removing entire neighborhoods which are developed in purpose for renting as opposed to homeownership, which is, I think, the goal that everybody should be aspiring to, right? There's times in your life, can't buy.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to rent for a time, hopefully save up and buy. But I've actually never liked the idea of going mass ownership in single family.
Well, and when you own 18,000 single family homes that are 0 to 500,000 that are 3 or 4 bedrooms, you are controlling such a significant part of the market that are you falsely augmenting it, or are you running the value down? And you have the ability to do whatever you want as that institutional investor. And that's what scares the hell out of me, is that they can cook the books whichever way they want. That's the policy I'd love to see changed.
Will you break that down for me? Like when you're talking about cook the books and manipulating numbers, how are you seeing that? Do you mean that they're buying their own product?
Yes.
Driving prices up?
Yes.
That's giving a fake bar of where housing should be at?
Exactly.
Okay.
So what is a $350,000 house, and they're paying $500,000 for it? And do you understand that product will never come back on the market? So this private equity, this institutional investor will buy 123 Banana Street, and do you understand? They're keeping it. They're holding it. It's no longer in the supply chain. It's not going to change hands between Bobby and Susie and John and Joni
Right.
every 5 years, every 7 years. They're keeping that product. And if they need their books high, they can literally value it because they own all of the neighborhood wherever they want it. Or if they need the loss, they can value the property wherever they want it. And they're selling it within, here's one shell, and they're selling it to 5 different shells to show that valuation.
Are they allowed to do that? Is that even legal?
I'm a real estate agent. I'm not an attorney.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, the argument is so valid, right? If they acquire, in her example, 18,000 residences, right? And they deem that the value of the rent of those residences is $3,000 a month. And they all of a sudden decide, you know what? Let's call it 5. Who's competing with them?
Okay, I understand that, but maybe you can't make the comparison to our world, but if you can, so I'll let you give me pushback. We can't just value our assets however we want.
I'm not talking about value assets. I'm talking about the impact to the consumers, the renter.
So
if I decide that the rent is now in this market worth $5,000,
okay,
you need another homeowner who has a house for rent who's willing to look at this house and say, they're charging 5, I'm going to charge 4, and I'm going to get the renter.
Okay, so
competition creates a downward shift in pricing.
Okay, so
there's no competition.
So is this what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
You and I have our apartment right there, and the whole market's renting a 2-bedroom for $2,500. You and I cannot just go charge 5.
Correct.
Because nobody's going to rent from us. They're going to pick the competition, and we're going to be forced by market demand to bring our rents down.
Correct.
Right? So we're naturally having to figure out where rents are to maintain our occupancy.
Right. The market is determining the price.
You're saying that if you own enough assets in a concentrated market, you can set those rents wherever you want.
If you own enough assets in a concentrated market, you are the market.
That's
and
what
you are determining what the price is, and there's nobody to combat you in that.
And
Okay,
you're the
so-
only option.
And guess who you're negotiating with? A brick wall.
Okay.
Because they have
I'm
all
tracking.
the leverage.
I'm tracking. Okay, so now bringing it back to policy. Is this convo about making it illegal for institutional investors to own single family? Is that a good thing? Because that, in theory, removes what you just said.
I think so, because I think at the numbers that they are buying at, you're taking away the American dream for the everyday person. They're not buying $5 million houses.
Yeah.
They're not buying $1 million houses. They're buying 0 to 500,000. They're buying 3, 4-bedroom homes. Like that's what they're buying. That is the everyday house for the majority of the country, no matter where you are, unless you're somewhere over here in the rich section.
Right.
Like, I mean, that's the thing, is like you're making it impossible for Bobby and Susie to buy a house, number one. You're keeping them on the hamster wheel, number two. You literally control how much their rent is. I mean, they can't go somewhere else because you own all the houses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they're playing they're you can make the argument that they are playing the eventually you will own nothing and love it, and I'll get my yield from that.
And they're convincing you. They're convincing Bobby and Susie that are 32 years old, oh, you want to be a renter because you don't want to have to replace the water heater. You don't want to have to replace the roof. I mean, that is the thing that makes my head spin around. It's snot fly out of my nose, is that you're literally trying to convince me that I don't want to be an owner, but yet you bought all the houses. There must be some reason to own all the property.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's another variable to this, in addition to what you were saying on the policy-making side.
Right.
If the policy has so much red tape and it's so bureaucratic that the everyday common real estate investor or developer doesn't have the capacity financially to make their way through years of red tape in order to put a property online, and yet these large institutions that have an unbelievable amount of cash can do it, who's getting approval to build and who's able to make their way through that process? It's the large institutions, because the smaller investors don't have the finances to make their way through that. And so you have a lot less development actually taking place outside of the large institutions.
Well, yeah.
So they have to find a way to say, government's not going to solve this, and you can't let the free market run crazy. You got to create alignment. And you understand this being on both sides of the equation, right? Where it's like, you got to get the private investor and the public market to work together in order to solve this problem. But if the public market makes it so difficult for the private person to actually get the product online, the people that are sitting on billions of dollars in cash are able to financially make their way through it.
Yeah, this is why all the big corporations love regulation, right?
Yes.
This is why probably Zillow and Apple and Amazon, what does regulation do for them? It cuts the little guy out.
Yeah.
Right? It cuts the everyday
Legally.
entrepreneur legally out, because the added regulation means added cost.
Right.
And the big corporation can pay that cost, especially knowing that all the regulation is doing is keeping their competition out.
And the big companies can pay for the lobbying of the politicians as well.
That's right.
So it's a broken system on multiple fronts,
Yeah.
right? And that's why there's no like single variable that solves this problem.
You
Yeah.
can't, it's not easy to fix. And in all honesty, the people in power have no interest in fixing it. They want to look like that they're making it more affordable for Bobby and Susie. And the likelihood is they're going to say, oh, well, I wanted to do it, but I couldn't get it passed through. I was here championing for Bobby and Susie to make housing more affordable, but I couldn't get anybody else to pass it. And so now they're not responsible for the failure. And they don't have any interest in succeeding.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a poll that just came out. I don't know if you saw this, but there's a poll that just came out that said 45% of Americans are identifying as independent.
I saw this yesterday.
And it's not, in my opinion, it is not the social issues that are driving that.
No.
It is the economic issues. I think the economy and people's ability to actually live independently is what's causing people to look at the political system and the two parties and say, you're not looking out for me. You're not looking out for me. If anything, both of you are making it way more difficult. And I now have to separate myself. The values might be aligned on one or the other, but the policies that they represent are actually making it harder for me as a citizen.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, this might be the, optimist in me. Hopefully that ends up bringing change. Hopefully, if you have enough people going, we're sick of the political talk.
Yeah.
We're sick of the failing upward. We just want things done. And if you see more and more people go, all right, I'm not holding the flag on the right, or I'm not holding the flag on the left. I'm going to vote for the person that's actually going to do what I'm talking about. Maybe we see a positive change.
See, but I don't think it's voting for the person that's going to do what I'm talking about. I think it's voting for the person that's going to get the hell out of my way. Let me live my life. Let me achieve the things that I can achieve on my own merit, and don't put up roadblocks in my way from achieving this. I don't need you to do stuff for me. I just need you to get out of my way.
I agree with that idea.
That's my perspective.
Because that's naturally how I am. I don't think we're there.
I agree with you. I don't think we're there either.
I wish we were, but
I think we're getting there, though.
I don't know.
I think we're starting to.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah. Now, this naturally gets into politics, but I think that's historically, right? If we're looking historically, I would say that the conservative party typically has been more of the voice on that side, empower the individual and let the individual do their thing. And then I would say historically on the left, it's been there's people that are being left behind, and we need to help them and figure that out. And then what we should see when everything's running right is, well then where do we land in the middle? That's what's supposed to happen, right? But
we've never been further apart
100%
than we are today.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right. The majority of people that I work with feel like that they have no say, they have no control, and that no one is listening to them, period.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's disheartening on so many different levels, especially when you have kids. Like, and you wonder, like, okay, what is it going to be like when my children grow up? What is their life going to be?
Right.
And I guess that's why buying grandma's house is so critical to me for my own kids, for my own grandchildren, so I know that they have a place to live. Because I don't want my children to ever be at the mercy of someone else when it comes to having a place to live.
I like that. That should be a big takeaway. Anybody that wants to find you on social media, what's the platform of choice and how are they getting to you?
So it's not about my platform of choice. It's about your platform of choice.
Look at that.
So it's like,
stack it.
It's hashtag Google Glennda. You can just literally Glennda. You don't even have to put my last name in. If you just Google me, you can find me on the platform of your choice.
And then on that platform, if they want to work with you, trying to find their first house, trying to find or, wanting to buy Granny's house, they can get a hold of you through social and then potentially work with you?
So my real telephone number is right under my name on all of my socials.
What a legend.
So, I mean, because I make money when people call me.
Right.
Like, I want you to call me. I mean, I even have my phone number as a .com. So I want people to call me. If you send me a DM and we're not friends, it could be over there with a feet request. Like, that's the thing is like, call me.
Take her up on that offer. You will enjoy talking to her. I promise you. Give Glennda a call, shoot her a text, take a screen grab of us, send her that. Found you through, Life with Mikey. Thank you so much for being here. This was an absolute pleasure.
It was so fun. Thank you. Thank you.
Heck yeah.